Hi, everybody. This is Z coming to you from NoVa Notes Meetup. And you know the drill. Let's go through our disclaimers here. Of course, as always, we are not providing you any kind of financial information or selling any kind of products or anything like that. That would be illegal. And of course, if you need any kind of professional assistance like that, contact your legal or tax professional for that investing advice. Again, you know the drill. My name is Z, better known as Awanna from Awanna Holdings. I'm retired Navy, currently a federal contracting officer for not too much longer because I'll be retiring in December. I have a bachelor's and a master's in education and a master's in public administration with a concentration in contracting. And I've been real estate investing informally for a little over 30 years, just doing the run of the mill, you know, a rental here and there. And then I started my business, Awanna Holdings, in 2018, where I got into mortgage note investing and have been doing that ever since. And I love it. And here are some ways that you can get in touch with me. As you can see, I'm all over social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, website, Instagram, YouTube. You can email me, call me, check out the website, all of that stuff. And so what I typically like to do is go over a little bit about what a mortgage note actually is. So for if you're new to mortgage note investing and you've never heard of that, or maybe let's say you're into what we call the brick and mortar real estate investing, where you actually would own the property if you had a mortgage, taking a mortgage out on that property. Mortgage note investing is where you would own the loan, the lien on the property, and the property is secured by that loan. So we own the paper, we're the bank essentially, and you would own the property if you were the borrower. But as a mortgage note investor, you would own the actual lien on the property. And of course, you can find plenty of information about that from lots of different sources. So I won't belabor that too much longer. So let me get to the reason why we all here is for Ms. Shante Duffy joining me from BIFI Loan Servicing. And of course, that acronym is by investors for investors. And Shante is going to talk to us a little bit about what this servicing company can do for investors that maybe some of the other servicing companies out there are not doing. So, and I'll put her information back up. I'm going to take it down right now, but I'll put it back up again after we get close to the end of the interview, and you can get in touch with Shante. And here we go. So Ms. Shante, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it. Got some big things going on.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Yes.
So it's exciting. As you stated, I started BIFI Loan Servicing as a servicing company. I've been in the servicing industry for a little over 8 years now. I absolutely love every part of it, even though that there's some headaches and stressors and things like that. You know, you're constantly learning. And, you know, with working with investors over the years, I got to hear all of their, you know, pitfalls, frustrations, confusions, questions, suggestions, all of the above when it came down to servicers. My rule of thumb, or the number one way that I kind of go by servicing, is that most investors don't like us in this space, just servicers in general. But you need us in order to service your loan. So it's this little like love-hate relationship that we have going on. And listening to all the feedback and talking to investors over the years, I kind of, you know, sat down and realized that there are some needs that you guys as investors are not getting, or it's not clear from other servicers. Some servicers are really great at one thing and maybe not so great at another. And I basically thought that it would be the best to start a company with that feedback and make sure that we hit on all those pain points that you guys as investors are going through to make your investing career a little bit easier.
Right.
We want to help, that's where we come into play.
Yeah.
So that's how BIFI was created, and, created for investors, specifically in mind.
That's right. So with that, and being the new guys on the block, new girls on the block, how
Okay.
do you think that, okay, well, let's get into a little bit of what your company may offer that current servicers don't offer. What's the difference? I mean, you're a servicing company, so you're going to
Most servicing companies, just as ourselves, we all offer typically the same services. We will be performing, we will be servicing performing loans, non-performing loans. We will handle bankruptcy coordination, foreclosure coordination. We will be able to service all different types of loans: land contracts, contract for deeds, conventional loans, adjustable rate mortgages, home equity lines of credits, things like that, and commercial as well. So we still service, the bulk that most other servicers in this space do service. We just have a different approach.
Mhm.
What I'm realizing and what I've learned is that servicers are really good at like loss mitigation, keeping the loan in compliance. The compliance part is so important. That's why you need a servicer, but we can be so much more.
Okay.
And I believe that lenders, do believe that servicers should be doing a whole bunch of the legwork, which we should be doing,
Right.
but they're not actually getting that from, the servicers they've worked with in the past. So our services are typically the same. It's just how we approach them and handle them that are a little bit different. We still will offer, escrow services, forced place insurance, drafting of assignments, allonges, whatever you guys need, collateral storage, collateral auditing, and things like that. So we still offer the same typical services. It's just how we're handling it is a little bit different. I believe investors need to focus on their investing. I want investors to grow. I don't believe that investors should be doing all the legwork. Something as simple as tracking down tax bills. As a servicer, you guys are paying for an escrow service. We would like to actually offer you something that makes it worthwhile for what you're paying. And just there's things like that, very small things that they kind of seem like a no-brainer, but you don't realize aren't happening until you're in the situation as a lender.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that is where I was like, okay, we have to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you guys to be able to keep investing,
Right.
to keep buying notes, and to keep going, and to be able to trust us as your servicer to manage everything you'll need as long as you work with us.
Right. So I would imagine that there are going to be some kind of a la carte things that investors could choose from in regards to servicing of their notes. Can you talk a little bit about what some of those things might be?
Yep. They're all going to vary depending on the type of loan you have, the type of loan you're servicing. They're all different. Not all of them are going to be the same. So of course, performing loans that are senior liens, they have escrow services. That's there. We have the ability to handle loss mitigation, and that includes doing loan modifications, forbearance agreements, trial payment plans, drafting quitclaim deeds, and things like that, deed in lieu's, handling the foreclosures, coordinating your bankruptcies with the attorneys, and things like that. So it's per loan and what you actually need.
Would you guys offer I don't know, maybe a network of attorneys or something like that, or would it still be up to the note investor to bring their attorney?
We're flexible. There are plenty of investors who are like, I don't have an attorney in the state of New Jersey. Do you have one? Yes, we do. So you can use ours. But if you're familiar and comfortable with an attorney that you've used before and you like them, right, we'll work with them as well. We're always trying to grow that network. We don't want to force you to use what we have, right, or who we have. Mm-hmm. It's always good, to expand that network. A lot of the attorneys that I've met across the years have been introduced to me by investors. I didn't know them. They weren't part of a preferred list that we already had. So we want that flexibility. If there's somebody you would like to use, we will use them. Mm-hmm. If you need somebody, we will use that. We have some property preservation options. I know that's like my new favorite thing right now. We have REO management, because that was a big deal. You guys foreclose on your loans, and then usually they kind of just get deboarded, and you're sitting there, and now we're all on Facebook asking for recommendations for real estate agents or property managers and things like that to do trash outs, clean outs, changing locks, stuff like that, where we feel that I've met a lot of investors who are like, I've never done this. I've never taken a property back. I don't know what to do. Where do I start? So we have that, as well as force-based insurance has been by far the biggest thing that we've been tackling. It's not super clear in how force-based insurance should work to most investors. It is a little bit of a challenge to understand. So I've spent months, days, hours with my team, my partners, trying to make sure that we have a force-based insurance policy that works for all the lenders that we'll be servicing for, whether, there's different policies you need if you have a contract for deed or a land contract versus a conventional note and mortgage versus what happens when your loan is foreclosed on. We have the ability and are offering the ability to, when your loan's foreclosed, there's no longer an active loan servicing that's needed. You still need force-based insurance. We can still offer that as we're going through the REO process of your loan as well. So we really want to make our servicing company a one-stop for everybody, that you don't have to go out, and that we have all these different vendors lined up to be able to assist.
Right.
That's what their specialties are. So I have worked very closely with every vendor that we have to ensure that we can offer what every lender, anything that they would need in this space.
So you mentioned New Jersey, and I know that you're based out of New Jersey. So what, and of course, being new again to the space, how many of the states have you all been licensed in now to be able to service those notes?
We are about at 10. We have a whole bunch pending. I've been going back and forth with states as well. The licensing part has been challenging, but fun. You learn a lot. They do require a lot of different information and things like that. And each state, they do their own thing. So we have to work with each state and make sure that they have everything they need. The most recent license we got was yesterday, I believe. We got approved in Nebraska. So I remember off the top of my head, we're in Nebraska, I want to say Alabama, Missouri, Indiana, Texas, Tennessee we got last week. There's a few that I'm missing. There is definitely a few, but we can definitely check the MLS. Because they're just coming in. I'm dealing with a whole bunch of other states as well. So we have a bunch still pending that we are working through, and waiting on the states to return and let us know what we need, if there's anything else. So that's been the most challenging because it's different for me. It's new for me. And definitely learning a lot going through that and the requirements of every state and making sure that we stay in compliance with the states as well. So.
Cool. So can you talk a little bit about what some of your fees are? Will they vary based on the location of the assets, or the note, I should say? Will they vary based on that, or is it like a flat fee? And of course, I know you said you had some a la carte stuff, and of course that will be priced differently as well. And
So our fees are based flat fee. I'm a firm believer of flat fees. I don't think that, servicing a loan, a performing loan in New Jersey is the same as a performing loan in California at that point. There's really nothing different that has to get done too much. So we're not going to go on a state by state basis when it comes to just regular monthly servicing fees. Those will vary. They change depending on the type of loan. So if it's, an adjustable rate mortgage, that does require a little bit more maintenance on our end to make sure the loan is in compliance and that we're following the actual note. So that and lines of credits, they vary. They have a different price. It's an additional cost on top of the base. And then again, it's one of those standard, which is you're performing out of the gate loans, pretty easy. They just kind of need statements, late notices, process those payments through. And then we have a loss mitigation program as well. So for those loans that are not performing and that we need to get re-performing, they'll be put under our loss mitigation program, and they'll be assigned to a loan account specialist here who will work with you and figure out what exit strategies you'd like to offer to your borrowers. And then, of course, the a la carte stuff will vary depending on whatever additional services that you may need or that you may want. They are things that you can opt in and opt out of at any time. So it's just one of those, a request, hey, I don't need escrow on this loan. They stopped paying, I'll manage it. One thing that I'm very excited to offer as well is that I know a lot of servicers with escrow, lenders buy new loans. Part of your due diligence, they'll always check your taxes and things like that. But that's something that we want to make sure that we're on top of the ball with, and making sure that you as investors know what you're dealing with when it comes to your loans, whether you just bought them or they are loans that you just decided to transfer, and making sure that you guys are updating on all the tax information on each property as well.
Okay.
So we have a way to track that and make sure and let you guys know in case, don't lose your property to a tax sale and things like that. So
I have a question. So what if someone has a note that they were servicing themselves and wanted to board it now with a servicer? What kind of things would they have to go through to get that boarded?
So they would still follow the same rules that as a servicer to servicer transfer, that would happen. So we require every lender to fill out a loan setup form. That's to inform us that a loan should be coming to BIFI for servicing. They fill that out, as well as they upload collateral. We need those two items out of the gate. I will not have anyone in my team approve a goodbye letter without having that information. I need to hear from the lender first.
Right.
To not, there's time frames that we have to work with servicers and things like that. So it's better if we know that it's coming, so we can get it set up and ready to go and have a smooth transition. When investors are servicing on their own, it becomes a little bit more challenging for them, in the sense that we need to have all of the loan data. You need to also be able to provide to me how you got to the principal balance that you did. You have to be tracking that. This is why I don't tell investors to ever service their own loans, because you part of being a servicer, we have to keep record of every payment and how it was applied in order for that UPB to move. So that becomes a little bit more stressful for the investor that's trying to board that loan. If the borrower ever disputes their debt, we need to have an idea as to where that balance came from, how that next due date got to the date it is. They might not be contractually current. They could be due for June of 2021. And now you're with a servicer who's following compliance and sending you statements and late notices and reporting to credit bureaus. It is going to raise some red flags. So we do want all of that proof as to every payment they've made and how you got to that balance. Make sure that you've tracked that. They will be required to provide us with a data tape of all the required loan information, which we'll provide to them. Since it's not coming from a servicer, usually servicers have their own data that they send over out of their systems. Lenders usually don't have that. When most lenders don't have their own servicing software. Right. So they usually don't have that. So we'll send them what we need. They will have to fill that out. Of course, we review it, make sure everything's there. If you send everything, we're smooth sailing, goes through the regular process. Hello letter goes out, your loan is assigned to an asset manager, and we just keep moving. So it does become a little bit challenging just to confirm the data, the information specifically on the loan. A lot of that other information, unless it's brand new, that's easy. But if you've been self-servicing, that can get a little tricky. So I definitely don't recommend it.
Okay, yeah, I was getting ready to say, so what if I, just created a new seller finance loan and I'm like, okay, I don't want to service it myself. I want to board it with you. So I'm just going to give you all.
It's a similar process, but at that point, no payments have come in. The monthly payment usually hasn't happened yet, the first monthly payment. So we'll get that set up in time before that payment. So if you know that's what you're doing, right, let us know so that we can get it set up in time and make sure that we work together to make sure that everything's lined up correctly and that they're getting their statements on time, that we're not missing their first payment. Don't wait until 2 weeks after they've signed the documents or a month after and their payment's due tomorrow. There's no way that loan's going to get into our system that quickly.
Right. And did I hear you? I know you said something about, dang it, this old age thing is no fun. I forgot what I was getting ready to ask.
Okay, I brings him like that all day.
I was getting ready to ask you something that completely slipped my mind. Okay, I guess it wasn't important. All right. So anybody out there got any questions that they want to ask Shante? You can just unmute yourself if you do. Nobody. She looks like she's getting ready to say something, but you have to unmute yourself.
That must be a good thing if there's no questions.
All right. So it won't be a long one, but yes, fortunately I forgot what I was going to ask you. Should have written it down.
The big thing that I want to make known is right now, BIFI is just in our testing phase. We're tackling these licenses, so we are not open to servicing for outside investors. That is definitely couldn't.
I want to know that.
We just want to make sure that between all the time that we spent setting up all the processes and working with all the vendors, that everything is actually working smoothly and that the processes that we've set up actually work. So we are in that, okay, we're almost live, but not live, and just using a few of my partners' loans to just make sure that everything is working smoothly so that by the time we open the doors for you guys, we are ready and we kind of can hit the ground running and there's no hiccups in it. So we're not really, we're working through it this month.
Beta testing.
Yes. Probably mid-October is what we're shooting for. Of course, during testing, I'm finding out, hey, you know, we got to fix this or this process isn't working. And so there's always things changing right now all day. That's what we're testing and making sure that it works. But just so you guys are aware, I know a lot of people have been asking, a lot of people are excited, which makes me very excited. The one thing I tell everybody is to at least reach out and get yourself set up. That doesn't cost you anything but your time and some paperwork to be filled out. At least get your entity set up with me. Even if you're not ready to board a loan for 6 months, a year, at least it's set up and you're ready to go whenever you are ready to board a loan with us.
Okay. And now it has come back to me what I was going to ask you. You mentioned something about due diligence and, you know, looking up the taxes and things like that. Are one of the services that you're going to be offering is assisting investors with their due diligence, or is that after the fact?
It'll be after the fact. It is a collateral audit. So we will go through, we use another vendor that'll go through the entire collateral, make sure it's all image. If you have any documents that are not recorded, a lot of people miss that when they, you know, the assignments read correctly, but they're not recorded. So they're all there, but now you have to record about 4 assignments plus yours. So we will go through, audit that. If there's anything that's not recorded, we will make sure that it gets recorded for you guys, because you can't take this loan to legal if you needed to without that information. We will not send a file through any legal proceeding without having all of that. So that's one of those things that it's done internally as well as having an outside vendor. So part of our boarding, we still have to review everything that you're sending in your collateral. We'll look it over, we'll let you know. But if you want a full audit with everything updated and corrected, we do have a vendor that we are working with who's going to handle that.
Okay.
As well.
Sounds good. All right. So let me share my screen that I had up previously with your information so that folks can get in touch with you. Did you guys set up a website yet?
We did. It's currently under construction because we're adding more, but it's just www.bifils.com. So if you look on there, you will see either our landing page or the currently pending website, but you'll see that there.
No matter. So, but either way, here's Shantae's email information there if you want to reach out to her, and her phone number there, so you can give her a call and you know, get yourself set up so that when they are actually out of the beta testing phase, that you'll be ready to go and board all those loans. All right. So that was short and sweet, Shante. I appreciate it. Didn't look like anybody had any questions. And like I said, this will be recorded and posted on all social media outlets. So you guys can watch it. And that's all I have. Oh, wait, somebody might have a question. Okay.
Just a
They
thank
just
you.
said thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining and tuning in. And Z, thank you for having
All right. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck.
All right. You guys enjoy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. It worked.